Have you ever felt?
Are you listening? Damn.
Here it is, boys and girls. Palomino Caddis version 2. Now this one is very similar to version 1, but as we fished it more and more, we found a few tweaks that kind of make it the ultimate effective caddis pattern. So, first things first, we've tried a whole bunch of different hooks on this, and the Daiichi 1130 is just the supreme hook. We use both size 16 and 14 on this fly, and you know, for our local river, it's really, really good. But anyway, the other thing is I'm using 6/0 Montana fly thread in rusty brown. The reason I use 6/0 is because it's like 100 denier. Most other thread companies go from 70 denier to 140 denier, and this stuff is really, really good for it. So anyway, without talking too much, let's just get started. So because we're using thicker thread on this, we really have to conserve wraps. So don't put too many wraps in this. Another difference is that we're adding a little tag of flash. So this is just Mirage tinsel. And I'm just going to tie this in, wrap it back over the hook, just like that, and then I'm going to wrap that back up over the top of itself. Just like that. So now we have a little bit of a trigger, kind of a hot spot for those fish to focus on. Okay, for this smaller size, we've been using the micro ultra chenille. I think that's what it's called in the book. You have to have the poop colored lighter, or else this will not work. This is Curtis's lighter. So what I'm going to do is I'm not just going to singe the end like that. I'm going to actually singe the end a little bit deeper into the chenille, making it more of a point. It's really subtle, but you can see how that tapers down a little bit more. It makes a difference in the bigger chenille, which we still use for size 14 and up. So as I lay this on, I'm not going to put the body too far past the bend of the hook. Just about right there, and really cinch that down. So that's the body of our caddis. The other thing we realized is if you use more CDC, you'll get more life out of your fly as far as floatiness. And this Polish CDC is really, really good stuff, really dense stuff. So I've picked 3 prime feathers out, and I'm going to line the tips. So once all those tips are aligned, I'm going to lay that down so that the body extends just a tiny bit past the CDC. And I'll tie that down just with 2 or 3 wraps. So now we've got an over, or I guess this is the underwing of CDC. And then what I do is I take the existing, or the excess, and I pull that over on top of itself. And just do about 2 turns of thread, and then I come in here with my scissors and cut it at an angle, so it creates a really nice shaped caddis wing. So you can see there's a nice separation between the body and the wing still. So just for cleanup purposes, I'm going to take some cinnamon caddis dubbing, some super fine cinnamon caddis dubbing, and just kind of cover up those thread wraps. And Curtis's stomach is roaring right now. We need to get that kid some tacos. So just about like that. So now we're ready for the wing. So if we didn't already have enough floaty material, we're going to do the wing. And I forgot to mention, the reason we use chenille is I really think that chenille soaks up floatant. And you got to use floatant with this fly. I use it with all my dry flies. So anyway, use floatant on it. So the best hair for this is Select Cow Elk. So what I do is I take it out of the package and I write on the back of it, Nature Spirit Select Cow Elk. So I know that's what this patch is. And you can see, if you can see that whole patch is used up. So I'll align the tips with the peak stacker. So I've got those tips aligned. I'm just going to kind of lay those on so that they are the same length as the CDC. And this is where this 6/0 thread really comes in handy. 8/0 can break in this. So I'm going to pinch tight, 2 wraps, and then I'm going to pull down. And you can see this elk hair doesn't flare too much. And that's what you want in this fly. You don't want it to flare overly. So once I'm here, I'm going to take a few fibers, about 1/3 of that head, and make another wrap through those. Grab some more, wrap through those, and then grab the rest of them all the way up to the front of the hook. And that way you've created a really solid tie down for that wing. It won't twist and it won't come out. So now I'm going to take my whip finisher and get all those other fibers out of the way and just do like a 3-turn whip finish. Now because this elk hair is nice and long, I can just grab the long ones and that separates it perfectly from the wing. You see that? So I'm going to pull those tight. I'm going to come in here and just lop those off, and that's a good little head for that caddis. Anyway, it's kind of a messy pattern, but it's an absolute fish catcher. You can tie it in this color, you can tie it in olive, you can tie it in a bunch of different variations. Oh, one last step. Highly recommended that you use head cement on this one. So I'm just going to take some hard as whole and just kind of come in here and dab it in. Anyway, this pattern is best fished kind of casting out and giving it a little bit of a twitch right when it hits the water. Not overly twitched, but you'll see that this kind of skates along the water as you fish it. So anyway, tie some up. This is the best color pattern of all that we've tried, and have some fun with it.